Hello everyone, welcome to PaperworkIntel, where we make filling out forms and applications easy on everyone. Rahim on the mic, and I'm your host. What a scary time we find ourselves in with the spread of this coronavirus. I mean, we went from watching a scary situation on the news, a scary situation that seemed so far away, to seeing our next door neighbor wearing a face mask, doing the quick hi, bye, to avoid any face-to-face small talk. The danger is real, folks. It appears every once in a while we get reminded of how fragile our existence is. Quite humbling to say the least. Hope you guys are being cautious and doing what you can to keep yourselves and your families safe. In this episode, I would like to point out some resources relative to the situation at hand. I'll put links in the description so you don't have to pause the video. Bon, let's begin with where do you start looking for answers if you're worried about symptoms you may be experiencing? The Government of Ontario has a self-assessment questionnaire type form on their website where you can answer questions about the symptoms you are having. It's simple and to the point. Anyone can use it. Just last week, a friend of mine was having some severe stomach issues. He could not keep any food down and was having to use the washroom more than 5 times a day. At first, he suspected food poisoning because he had food from a restaurant the day before, but his daughter was with him. She ate the same food and she wasn't having any health issues. So as time went by, he wasn't getting any better, so he decided to drive to the closest Covid-19 testing center. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, he was refused the test because his symptoms did not match. Needless to say, my guy was not happy, and he let them know too. Now, the next day, his wife had to drive him to the emergency because he was so unwell. He could not stand up straight, let alone walk. Anyway, he was treated with antibiotics and has fully recovered. Turns out his situation had nothing to do with the coronavirus. But would you blame him for tripping out though? With everything that's going on right now, who wouldn't be paranoid? That's why a self-assessment tool like this is handy. It's nothing sophisticated, but it helps take out the paranoia. Now, if your symptoms do match and you do get tested, here's what the form that goes to the lab looks like. Obviously, this is for Ontario, but the test kits should be similar across the board. Keeping the virus contained and treating those already infected is going to be expensive. Some people feel the government should have been better prepared because, hey, the situation didn't just unravel overnight. But regardless of what side of the fence you're on, the problem is here and must be dealt with. The government is open to any help they can get. If your company or organization is able to help with the supplies needed, this is the form to indicate your interest in providing aid and in what capacity. Travel has been one of the complicated topics. You would think once the government put restrictions on travel, companies would just give people back their money, right? But from what I've seen online, it's not been clear-cut. Travel companies are leaning towards giving customers a credit towards future travel instead of a flat-out refund. So the question on everyone's mind is, are they allowed to do that? If you're interested in finding out more about your rights as the customer, I'll point you guys to some resources I found online with good info. The links will be in the description. Apparently, some folks are even calling out their credit card companies to dispute the airline charge and getting it reversed. Speaking of credit card companies, a couple of years ago, when I went to Portugal, I filled up my rental car with diesel instead of gas. And to my surprise, the car kept working, no problem. Nah, that's not what happened. There was black smoke coming out of the exhaust, the dashboard lit up. The car was chugging and eventually died shortly after leaving the gas station. It wasn't a good look. Anyway, I don't remember exactly what the rental company charged for the repair, but it was hundreds of euros. When I came back home, I looked into the insurance policy on the credit card I used for the rental and realized I could file a claim, which I did. It took a while, but one day I opened up a letter in the mail and it was a check for over $500. So if you had to cancel a trip because of the virus, you should definitely look into an insurance that comes with the credit card you used to pay for the trip. That's of course if you can't get a refund directly from the airline or the travel agency. The last one I'd like to show you guys is more for when you travel in the future. It's something most of us don't think to do, but could be a lifesaver. Canadians traveling abroad can add their travel itinerary to a government database so that when something bad or dangerous is happening around the world, like this pandemic for example, the government can reach out to you with advice on what to do. It's an extra blanket of safety that costs you nothing. I'll give you guys a short story to help illustrate how useful this website can be. Now, my niece planned for years to move to Europe. She finally saved up enough money to make the move early this month. I remember seeing her before she left. She was super excited to get out there, find a new job, begin a new life. Then this pandemic happens. Talk about bad timing. Now, if she was registered on this site, she would have received warnings and updates on the virus situation. A government official would have been able to reach out to her and steer her in the right direction as to what to do next. As you guys may already know, there's financial relief, as in loans, for Canadians abroad that are strapped and need money to get home. This is the kind of info they can provide her with that could be super helpful. Before I sign off, I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant, so bear with me. Why are companies in a rush to send emails on the coronavirus? My inbox is filled with them. Feels like another Me Too movement to fulfill maybe a social responsibility, who knows. But these messages have no impact and offer no new perspective. I think it's a bit lazy on their part, considering we live in a time where my 10-year-old niece can shoot video and share it with the whole family. Here's an idea. What if the Prime Minister just sends us all an email instead of getting in front of a camera and speaking to the people? I know someone's gonna say that's his job, he's running a country, he's the Prime Minister. And yeah, that's a good point. It's his job. But he also knows without people, there'll be no country to run. Same deal for these companies. Without customers, there'll be no company to run. I mean, is the use of video only a priority when they have a product to sell? You know, what would it take for that CEO that's signed off at the bottom of this email to get in front of a camera, even if for 20, 30 seconds, and speak to the customers? Then follow-up messages can be done by something more impersonal, like email. Get this, even the camera store where I buy gear from, they've been sending out emails. You know, it's, what the hell? It's kind of disappointing. I'm just saying. Okay then, rant done. No doubt we're going through a tragic moment in time. Our faith, resilience, and compassion towards each other is being tested. Let's be reminded of how fragile life truly is and use this time to reset our priorities, direct our energy towards ideas that matter, people that matter, conversations that matter. Until next time, friends, take care of yourselves and deuces.